Today's video is a creative orchid repot using these very unique baskets made by local artisans in northeastern Thailand. And as a viewer of this video, I even have a special deal for you. All of this and more coming up at the Orchid Hut. Welcome back to the Orchid Hut. My name is Dana, and today's video is very special because we are going to be doing a creative orchid repot using this Yellow Bird Orchid that's still in the grower's pot, and we're going to be repotting it into one of these very unique bamboo baskets made by local artisans in northeastern Thailand. Now, the company, Panwa, was very generous, reached out to me and asked if I would use some of their baskets in a video, and so that's what we're going to be doing today. We're going to be trying these out. They sent me 3 different sizes, a small, a medium, and a large, and we're going to be using the medium-sized one or possibly the small one for the repot today. And as I'm, unpackaging here their product, they sent along a little bag of cocoa fiber husk in case you need some media to repot with, and kind of a little thank you gift of handmade paper, which is very unique. I actually made pulp for handmade paper years ago, and it's not an easy process. So very cute little thank you gift that came along with the package. And if, after the video today, if you decide you would like to try one of these baskets for your orchids, or maybe even another plant that you have around the home, indoors or outdoors, they did set me up with a promo code for you today for watching, and all of that information, their storefront and the promo code, I'll put in the video as I'm editing it, and it will also be in the description below the video for you to use and enjoy if you like how my orchid turns out today in this cute little bird's nest basket. Now, they're very well made. The front has a lot of aeration, which, orchid roots would really love that. The back side is a bit flat, so that if you wanted to hang it against the wall, that would work well. Then there is a metal hanger at the top for attaching. And what I thought I would do for you, since you don't have your hands on these, and since we're primarily talking about orchids, I thought I would quickly kind of show you what fits in each size, because you can order these, I believe, just one size, or possibly you can get the small, medium, and large like what the company sent me. So we're going to take just the standard 3-inch orchid pot, and we're going to put it in the small basket, and it fits just fine. Now, you can plant directly in these baskets, in which case, roots will be coming out of all of the various different holes, and orchids would probably love that. And I think today I'm going to plant directly in the basket, but if you were to prefer to put your orchid in a pot or a different plant inside a pot and set it inside and then pull it out for watering purposes, you kind of know what fits. So this is the 3-inch pot in the small basket. And this is about a 4-inch pot. Now that's a little bit, I believe, too large, a little bit too large for the small basket, but it does fit in the medium basket, kind of fits a little bit far down in there, but it does fit. So the 4-inch pot fits in the medium basket. The 5-inch pot would also fit in the medium basket. And the 6-inch pot, I think this particular 6-inch pot might be a little bit too large for this, but I think what you could do is you could put a taller 5-inch pot in the large basket, and that would work just fine. So this is also a 5-inch pot, but it's taller and skinnier than this particular 5-inch pot. So there you have some kind of options, and you have a little bit of an idea of what size to purchase if you want to use an orchid pot inside. Now, I do believe, let's give this a try here and we'll decide on what basket we're going to use. And if I put this little orchid inside here, you know, it does have some room to grow, but I have another Yellow Bird Orchid hanging outside, and it does tend to kind of grow north, south, east, and west and grows relatively quickly. So since I would like for this to be able to stay in the basket for quite a while, I think maybe, and for the purposes of demonstration, let's see, that might actually be a little bit large, and probably the smaller basket would be easier to work with on camera. So I think what we'll do is we will put this little orchid in the small basket today for demo purposes. And what I have chosen to use is some media that is maybe a bit more inorganic. I've got charcoal, I've got leca in here, and I have a few pieces of cork. And my thought is that I'm not exactly sure that I would want to put bark media directly in this basket. In my climate, I think it would have a tendency to stay a little bit too wet because it's so humid here. So I went with some media that will dry out really quickly, and I do, you know, check on my orchids every day, so if this one needs water, you know, it will be easy to water and it will dry out quickly. Okay, let me get set up for the repot and I'll be right back. Okay, so back for the repot. This, as I mentioned earlier, is Yellow Bird. And if the camera didn't focus on that, I'll be sure to type it in. I did water this morning, and I'm unpotting it for the first time, so it's kind of a net pot inside of a pot. And I do have my cutters sterilized and ready to go. It's probably going to be easiest just to go ahead and cut this off. I see some good roots, and I see some not so great roots already. The goal, of course, is to not damage any of the good roots. And it's always a bit of a challenge cutting these net pots off. I find that it's best to just kind of go around and cut in all of the places where you can, and then see which parts of the plastic start coming off. I think that if I cut a few more times here, I'll be able to pull the bottom off, which should make the whole thing a whole lot easier. Be sure to stay tuned to the very end of this video, because I will do a short little clip to show how this finished basket looks hanging next to the door of the Orchid Hut. This little orchid has needed to go outdoors for quite a while. It's been growing in the bay window area, pretty close to the glass to get as much light as possible, but I do know that this orchid would probably appreciate the warmth of the outdoors during the growing season, and so hopefully me getting it repotted, and I'll have a very cute little basket to put it in, so that it's you know, kind of a decorative feature with my other orchids around the Orchid Hut. Now there are some dead roots here, and I'm trying to be gentle, but as you can see, this root system is pretty tangled. Aha! Success. Okay, so now it's a matter of getting the sphagnum moss off. And you know, even if some of these roots are damaged in this repot, or damaged, you know, from the fact that they were so entangled around that net pot. This orchid is a pretty robust root maker. I have growing outdoors a Brassavola nodosa, which is the parent of this particular orchid, and it's growing in a clay pot, and the roots are growing outside the clay pot and attached to the clay pot, and really like it when I get the entire clay pot wet. So the roots are growing externally to where the media is on that particular one. And then my other Yellow Bird orchid is planted in a basket with regular orchid bark media, but pieces of it have grown over the edge of the basket, and you know, the roots are kind of just in the air, and seems to do okay with that too. So I have a feeling that this little orchid is really going to enjoy this basket from Panwa. Some of the photos in their store showed some really nice Phalaenopsis orchids growing in these baskets, so that would be another option for you. Now here's the plug, sort of the sponge plug in the center of that. So this is the original growing pot for this little orchid. Some gorgeous Phalaenopsis in these baskets, but other than in my secondary grow space, I don't really have a place to hang a basket. And even if I did hang it back there, I wouldn't get to enjoy it. So I think for me, the best location is going to be near the Orchid Hut, where I have some of my other decorative pots and things for orchids. Okay, so let's have a look here and do a little preliminary trim of roots that are dead, or partially dead anyway. There's still a good bit of sphagnum kind of stuck in the center of the plant. I will, well, after I get done with this preliminary trim here, I will take it to the sink and rinse that off. Some of the roots that were near the plug in the middle were dead, which is kind of what happens around the sort of spongy plugs that they use when orchids are seedlings. And let's see. I'm going to just kind of keep going round and round, pulling out the extra sphagnum here and there, clipping off the dead roots or the stringy roots. Someone made a comment the other day about, well, some people say that I do these videos very slowly, and then other people say, how did you do that so fast? So I don't know, I guess there's not, you know, a speed that suits everyone, but I guess if you think that I do this quickly, it's just because I've done so many of them. This one's dead. Okay, so I think this is ready for a rinse at the sink, and I'll get this mess cleaned up and we will handle the repot. Okay, I'll be right back. Okay, so now for the most fun part, which is getting this cute little orchid in this very cute little basket. Okay, so I'm going to check the depth first. Oh, and by the way, I did rinse the root system, let it dry a bit, and then I did spray this one with 3% hydrogen peroxide just because it came out of the grower's pot. And yes, there is definitely some room to put some of the media down in the bottom of the basket first. Okay, let's try that again. And I think I really don't want the orchid taller than the front lip of the basket. I think probably something like this would be pretty good. So I'm going to center it. And then keep filling in with the medium. Now, one of the considerations when choosing media, since this is not a closed pot and the front of the basket kind of has the open weave, you know, you'll want to think about not having media that is so fine or so small that it washes out of the front of the basket. Just, you know, a little consideration. Typically when I do a creative orchid repot like this, I try to plan as much as I can because, you know, I don't really want to have to redo this sooner than is necessary. So I try to make good decisions about the orchid that I choose. There was a really nice new root right here, and now it's kind of tucked inside the back of the basket there, although not covered up completely, so I think that's a good thing. This is turning out very nicely. Okay. Now, I think I underestimated a little bit how much media that I would need, so I'm going to take a short little break so that I can get a bit more media to top off this basket. I'll be right back. Okay, so I've just added a little bit more media to the top there to kind of fully secure the orchid. You know, it really doesn't even need a stake because the root system, you know, is solid enough to kind of hold it in the pot. And I have to say, this is a very, very cute final product here for my orchid repot. A very artistic basket and a nice orchid inside of it, and it's going to go enjoy its outdoor time now near the Orchid Hut. Okay, stay tuned for a short little clip of what this one looks like once I hang it. Thank you all so much for watching. If you learned something new or enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. The subscribe button is coming up in the bottom right hand corner of the screen, and don't forget the notifications bell to let you know when I've posted something new. Please go and buy some of these baskets for your orchids. I think this turned out really nicely. Talk to you all next time.